Tessa, Jen, thank you. There's Jamie McLennan. There's Darren Dreger. First of all, this building comes as advertised. It's one of the loudest buildings in sport. It was at the beginning of the game. It was when they tied it and were pressing to take the lead. It was at the end of the game when they came close and made a valiant comeback. But it was stunning to hear it go to stunned silence in a 6-minute span when the Panthers scored 3 unanswers to win the game and maybe win the series. It was like this trio hat trick of nightmares. What happened?
Well, that was a turning point in the hockey game. There's no question about that. And it took the crowd right out of this building. And unfortunately for the 3 individuals involved, it's kind of been the story of the series this point. You know, Stu Skinner has been fairly good, I would say, in goaltending for the Edmonton Oilers. Cody Ceci in and out of the lineup. Darnell Nurse has had his share of issues, and a lot of those are physical, right? Injury related. You know, Tarasenko scores a big goal after the save made by Bobrovsky. Bennett is based on a turnover in the defensive zone. And then you had Sasha Barkov, who's probably fortunate and feels pretty good to even be healthy enough to play in Game 3. You know, he scores a huge goal. So you want to minimize this game, and where it turned, yeah, it was about 6+ minutes in that second period where Florida took control.
You can't have a 6-minute TSN turning point copyright, Dregs. It has to be one moment. So we'll put it on the first goal because it felt like nothing was happening and it was a nothing play, and suddenly it's in the back of your net. Is that on all Skinner, combination of Skinner-Ceci?
It's both, because it's a poor exchange between the goaltender and the defenseman, and nothing's going on. What I don't like about it, and you call it the TSN turning point, it's a free goal. It's a dump in, the goaltender goes back, he doesn't get it cleanly, it's bouncing, ends up in the trapezoid, so he's got to get back to the net. Ceci goes to take the body, and he doesn't get the puck, and obviously Bennett gets to the front of the net. It's a free goal. That is the turning point, because at that point, Bobrovsky was standing on his head at the other end, and Edmonton had all the momentum. So all of a sudden, Florida comes down, gets a freebie, and you could just see it was like air out of a balloon, just deflation on the bench and on the ice, and Florida takes a 2-1 lead, and they don't look back.
And they said all the right things the last couple of days, the Oilers, about, hey, we haven't played a game on home ice, and now they have, and now they're down 3-0, and only one team in history has come back. So this is like an adversity mountain right now. Let's hear from the captain in Connor McDavid.
I mean, I don't know how you want me to answer that. What's most disappointing thing is being down 3, obviously. Yeah.
The fact that you had part of that game in control and you just kind of gave them a few goals with just some unforced errors.
Yeah, I felt like that. I thought we had lots of looks. I thought the game was right there, and just a couple of mistakes, and they find a way to score.
When it started to come for you, when the goals started to come, what do you think you guys maybe got to that was working?
We put a lot of pucks there. I thought we did a good job of getting pucks to the net and bodies to the net. We can't score on the outside on these guys. You got to get to the middle.
Did you get any explanation on the non-call on the Janmark in the final few minutes?
No.
What's the, obviously a lot of disappointment in here tonight, Connor, but what's the challenge in processing this and moving forward?
What's the challenge? We got to get ready for a game. Get ready for Game 4 and get a win. That's all we can do.
You've played some pretty good teams here and found a way to get through them. This team, it seems like they're having a hard time figuring it out, finding a way to beat them at the 2 blue lines particularly.
Beat them at the 2 blue lines. We're trying, we're trying to figure them out. Obviously, we haven't beat them in 3 games, and we've had stretches of good, we've had stretches of bad. We're trying to figure them out.
And what do you want to say to your team and yourself and to the audience, to the hometown?
What I want to say to the hometown, keep cheering. Just keep cheering, keep cheering. It's not over till it's over.
You guys were looking to make some improvements on the power play in particular. What did you think of your man advantage tonight? Is there still more there?
A lot of looks. I didn't like the first one, obviously, the one in the third, the early in the third, but I liked a lot about the power play. It just didn't go in.
You played lots of good goalies right now. He seems like on the top of his game, like that save on the plow right after you guys pulled within one, and you guys getting a lot of good chances. Some days you tip your hat to the goalie, or do you need better shots?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. Obviously, you got to have a lot of respect for what he's doing, how he's playing, and at the same time, I think, I can only speak for myself, but there's looks there, and you got to bear down, and you got to put it in the net. Leon finds me on the backside, and just don't make the shot. There's looks there. It's just you got to make the shot. You got to make the play.
So it's 0-3, but a couple of these could have gone the other way. Does that kind of add to the frustration a little bit that the margins aren't maybe as big as 3-0?
No, I mean, it's 3-0. That's the only frustration. It doesn't matter how the games went. All that matters is the result. And we can say we've liked things, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
You obviously brought a lot of desperation down 4-1 and played really a good third period. Do you think that's something you can carry forward in Game 4? Just that level of desperation you brought to the final.
We were able to find a little bit of offense, I guess. And as I said before, getting bodies to the net, getting shots to the net, making it difficult on their box outs, making it difficult on the goalie to see the puck and look for second and thirds. I mean, that's the way we got to score. We've tried being on the outside and hasn't worked. So we got to work to the inside and find a way to score some goals.
What do you think we need to focus next step?
What do I think we need to focus? We need to focus on lots, but I think we need to just get really short-sighted. All we can do is worry about one game. All we can do is get ready for Game 4 and get ready for a good start and get ready and prepared to try to win a game. I know that's cliche, but you'll hear that from everybody, but that's ultimately what we got to do. We got to try to win a game.
It's not over.
That's right.
Thank you, Connor. Let's go.
We want to welcome in everybody who watched the Red Blacks' victory over the Bombers. James Duthie, Jamie McLennan, and Darren Dreger here in Edmonton after a 4-3 Florida victory to take a commanding 3-0 lead in the Stanley Cup final. Just because McDavid was asked about it and about 50 Oilers fans were screaming about it on our way down here, let's address the non-call on Janmark from Ekblad late in the game with the Oilers scoring 2, having momentum within 1. Should that have been a penalty?
I don't think so, and I walked down from the press box with a few of the Edmonton Oilers executives. Now, again, we have the ability to look at several replays, and it's not egregious. It's not for me. I think the fact that it involves Aaron Ekblad is maybe the bigger story in this, because Ekblad might have been the most physical player in the hockey game. So, look, at that point in the hockey game, yeah, no doubt, the emotions were high for the Edmonton Oilers, but they lacked urgency throughout this hockey game, so I wouldn't be pointing fingers at the officiating.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. I mean, it's a 50-50 call, and it wasn't made. So you can't sit there and point, okay, we missed that call. That's the reason why we didn't score the game-tying goal. Right. But it's still 50-50. The on-ice officials chose not to make that call, so I'm fine with it. You move on. You can't circle that and say that's the difference in the game. You just talked about urgency. Janmark wants the call. He gets a tap on the laces. There's no doubt there's a physical confrontation.
Yeah.
But Ekblad's out there playing for keeps. Janmark has to fight through that. He doesn't. He ends up going down. Non-call, you got to move on and find a way to get that equalizer that came up short.
Lots more from these two ahead. First, let's hear from Leon Draisaitl.
Offensively, we kind of got to him in the third period, but 2 good first periods just couldn't get the breakthrough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously firing a lot of shots. Just can't seem to put it over the goal line. Not sustaining enough pressure.
Conversely, you seem to make a mistake and it ends up in the back of your neck. I guess how frustrating is that when you play so well and one mistake costs you?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I think that we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit today, and made some individual and collective mistakes that they immediately took advantage of. So, yeah.
Leon, do you feel like this group is maybe overthinking at times in the offensive zone?
I don't know. I mean, we're a good offensive team. They're doing a good job, but we're still getting our looks. It's just when you're chasing the game for a big chunk of the night, it's hard to come back.
How do you pull out of this for game 4?
One game at a time. Try and get one win in game 4 and go from there.
Feel you're down 3-0, but do you feel you've put 2 really good efforts in the game 1, this one here? You guys kind of took the play a little bit.
Yeah.
Small margins.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Thought we played fairly good, other than the couple mistakes that we had. But it's obviously not enough right now.
Obviously, the last 10 minutes, that push came pretty hard. What went right the first 10 minutes, and how can you take that going forward?
We got to have that same push, trying to sustain a little bit more ozone time and continue to try and find our looks.
And now Oilers defenseman Darnell Nurse.
You got to alter your style. Can your team style that you're used to playing get through what they're giving you?
Yeah, I think we got to commit to who we are. I mean, we play with speed. We play a game in the ozone where we hang on to the puck. I think today we had a lot of ozone time. Obviously, it's a good team, and for us, we're not in the spot that we want to be in, but we're here competing, and we got to get ready for game 4.
Do you consider that, like, unfortunate coughing up the puck there that led to the second goal, Darren?
I mean, you could see it.
You guys talked about coming into the series how like it can get carried pretty quickly, but you talked about Nashville and being down 2-0 quickly. How have you guys kind of found in that regard, and do you feel like it's kind of maybe gotten away a little bit quicker than you thought?
I mean, it's the playoffs. Every day feels like a month. So I think for us, we got to just park the past and move on to game 4. We have to, this team's been through so much this year, throughout the course of the season, throughout the start, middle, end. So it's no different now. We take it one day at a time and get ready for game 4.
Zone exits and zone entries seem to be the biggest problem. The defensemen are getting the puck to your blue line on the zone exit, but the puck's not getting over the blue line very often. What's going on there?
They play an aggressive style where they're on top of seems like all the options. So there's probably an adjustment that we can make.
There's a few guys that just seem to kind of smother you. Not you specifically, but as a team. They've got some guys that check really hard and are in your face. How have you guys found that so far in this series?
Yeah, they're a team that checks well. That's why they're in this spot.
What are you seeing on the big?
Yeah, I mean they play with a lot of instinct out there and they're aggressive. I think our power play is finding a lot of chances, and when they convert, hopefully they'll just continue to go in. And our power player is one of the best in the history of the league, and I think they got to continue to have the confidence and poise to make plays, because the chances have been there.
How do you prevent overthinking when you're struggling to score goals? Do you feel like you're overthinking as a group, or how do you prevent that?
I think at the end of the game in the third period that we were just slinging pucks to the net. You got to get traffic and bodies there and the puck there, and just compete.
The Oilers spent the 2 days between games 2 and 3 talking about how they had to win more puck battles, how they had to simplify things, make things harder on Bobrovsky, and none of it worked on Bob. No. Except, maybe at the end they get the 2 goals and finally get a lucky bounce. But besides that, he just answered everything. And if he wasn't in their heads before, you'd have to think he is now.
Yeah, because the 3 up on the board, it's deceiving, because you're right. There's a bounce, there's a lucky bounce here or there. You needed that. You need a little bit of puck luck once in a while. But at critical times, when the difference in the game was goaltending, it was Sergei Bobrovsky, because there were pockets of this game where the Edmonton Oilers continued to push. They got really good looks, and Bobrovsky made the saves that he had in front of him. He was extremely aggressive, and he was, at one point, he had made a save on Evan Bouchard. He was 12 feet outside his crease. That's how much he wanted to make that save. He challenged him. There's no better save than this one on Ryan McLeod. In the dying seconds of the game, we'll call it late stages of the game, that would have been the game-tying goal. Instead, he makes a left pad save. So Bobrovsky at the top of his game, he's been a difference maker. He's been better than Stuart Skinner, and the reason why they're up 3-0.
And we're not writing off the Oilers yet. They still have a chance here, but is he the Conn Smythe favorite now?
He is. He's my Conn Smythe favorite. With all due respect to Sasha Barkov, it's Bobrovsky's trophy to lose now.
No bad choices there between those two right now. Let's hear from the coach of the Oilers, Chris Knobloch.
And
just right here. You know, the mistakes are part of the game. They happen. They've been happening through the playoffs. You guys have been able to overcome them for the most part. But it seemed like when you make that big mistake and it ends up in the back of your net, how frustrating is that, and how tough is it to get over something like that?
yeah, it's take away the momentum. You know, I think about the second period and how well we started, and we had a couple breakaways, some really good slot chances. And then, you know, we don't score on those. And I liked where we were going after Fogle scored that huge goal. I really liked our team, the execution, the energy. You know, like I said, we had some really good chances to go ahead. Their goalie made some nice saves. And then, you know, they dump a puck in and we're down 2-1. You know, that was a tough one.
Right side, front row, Jason.
Chris, you look at your team, and often you've improved a lot defensively, and offense has always been your calling card. And right now, you're struggling to finish. As Connor said, he can only speak for himself, but he goes, "We're getting looks, we're just not finishing." What are you seeing? What's not there in the finishing department? Is there anything the group can do better?
No, it's you know, over a course of time, there's always luck involved in it. Luck on the chances that you get. Do they go in? The goaltender that you play obviously has a huge part of that. You know, for chances, you know, 2 of the 3 games, I think we're at or above our expected goals for how many chances that we're creating. Besides the game 2, that was a lot lower. But you know, game 1 and 3, we're playing well enough to score goals, or we're putting ourselves in a good enough position to score goals. And you know, the finishing is just a lot of it is just confidence, shooting the puck, and hopefully the third period will give us some confidence that we actually had a push and we can put it in the net.
Stay in that same row, Jim.
Well, the last 2 goals you scored, you know, by Broberg and McLeod, the kind of goals you have to score on this goaltender you're playing against. In front of him, blocking his view, those are the kind of goals you got to score, and there haven't been enough of those.
That's the scouting report on every goaltender in the league. You need traffic. You need to create chaos around the net with rebounds and pucks going off skates. You know, we've seen those in the playoffs, for and against us. And you know, I thought we showed that urgency, determination to get to the net, and we just got to continue to do that.
In that same row, Josh.
Chris, it's a deep hole. How do you keep the belief alive? And are you more psychologist than coach over the next 48 hours?
I don't think there's much to be said, or I think there's a lot of belief. You look at our season this year, and you know, we've had 2 8-game winning streaks. We've had a 16-game winning streak. When things go well, we can really turn it up. And you know, I think we've showed that we can beat this team. I think there's a lot of belief in that. It's not like we're getting outplayed and we're just, you know, that team's better than us. I don't think there's anything that I need to say to the team and convince them otherwise. You know, I think everyone in that dressing room feels the same way I do. Is we can string together a lot of wins. We've shown it. Obviously, the stakes are a little bit higher. We're playing a better team than we would in the regular season. But yeah, I don't think there's any doubt in our room.
We'll take a few more left side, third row, Dan.
Hey, Chris, based on what you just said, I'm wondering if the frustration of being down the way you guys are, can that cloud the belief a little bit at this point?
Well, if there was any time to have frustration, it would have been 4-1 going into the third period. And you look at our team, it didn't look like there was much frustration. There's frustration that we're down. But there's a difference between frustration and quitting. There was absolutely no quits. There's a belief that we can do this, so we just need to keep pushing.
Left side fourth row, Corey.
Chris, you mentioned the third period push. Was that a case of anything you guys were doing differently, or kind of that puck luck that you've talked about turning around?
I think
there?
the pucks went in the net. I don't think we had any more chances. Chances might have been looked a little bit different. But, we were talking in the staff, or the coaches after the room, and we've had more breakaways in these 3 games than we've had throughout the rest of the playoffs. We're getting our chances. Hopefully now there's a point where they're going to go in, and we saw a little bit of that in the third period.
We'll take 2.
I think most of the stuff he said in there is accurate, and it's exactly the stuff he has to say when you're down 3-0. That yes, the Oilers ran off a bunch of winning streaks this season, and yes, they can do that, and yes, they've had lots of chances. I'm not sure about the part where he says there's nothing in the series that says Florida's better than the Oilers. Through 3 games, Florida's the better hockey team.
I would disagree with him on that, because if you look at the details of the game, the Florida Panthers are far superior than the Edmonton Oilers at the small details of the game. Good sticks, winning loose puck battles, all the things that matter in a Stanley Cup final. Yes, you can have all the nice stats, but take a look at Barkov's eventual game-winning goal. Watch Brandon Montour. He's going to run a slight little pick there. That creates a little bit of a lane. Now we're 2-on-1, and he gets available in on a breakaway, goes short side on Stuart Skinner. It's just a small detail, but that's the pick that you need. And it's the layers of support all over the ice. The Florida Panthers are a lot better than the Edmonton Oilers on stuff like that.
We said this on the couple of days off, that perhaps the biggest fear for the Oilers is that they were down 0-2, and Reinhart hadn't scored, and Bennett hadn't scored, and Barkov hadn't scored, and tonight all 3 scored.
Well, and Matthew Tkachuk had been quiet in the series too in every sense, and I think it'd be unfair to say that he introduced himself to the Stanley Cup final here in Game 3 in Edmonton, but he was an impact player. I mean, you look at the dust-up that he had with Brett Kulak. I mean, there are moments in a game where there is a bit of a momentum shift. Now, this wasn't anything ridiculous, but it kind of stirred things up from Florida's standpoint, and there was an offensive response immediately after. The next shift, here's a nice deflection by Reinhart, so that gets him going. And then you see Matthew Tkachuk making a nice pass to Sam Bennett to score the 3-1 goal. So the big boys for the Florida Panthers, if you want to throw in Sasha Barkov, the captain, as we need to, they showed up here in Game 3.
The other thing, Jamie, you said before the game is somewhere along the way here, they needed Skinner to have a Bobrovsky-type performance. If not steal a game, be equal to Bobrovsky. He was not on this night. 3 goals on 8 shots in the second period, and the Oilers were in big trouble. Let's hear from their goaltender.
Stuart, just kind of your assessment of the night, that late push, and maybe a belief that you might have been able to get that one at least into overtime.
Yeah, we definitely cut it close. We battled all the way to the end, and that's the kind of team we've got for a whole season. And just another game where we proved that. I think that we can be an amazing team, and I know that we can find a way to beat these guys.
Stu, what happened on the second goal?
I'd have to look back to see exactly what happened, but I believe I tried to obviously play the puck. I don't know if it bounced over me, or not too sure exactly what happened. They got the puck, passed it out front. I tried to get that one as well and tried to make the save, and all of those 3 things did not work.
That stretch there in the second period, what was that like for you when they were?
Yeah, I think after they got that second one, they just kind of got on a roll. I think we kind of we let them kind of take that momentum and stride with it. Got 2 more quick ones where it was just kind of silly mistakes that doesn't need to happen.
Stuart, this time of year is all about fine lines and how close it is. Where have your team's details been throughout the entire series?
Through the series, to be honest, pretty good. Like, it's kind of hard for me to say exactly the details for the players, just because I'm more worried about my own details. But from what I see, like, we're working really hard. We got our sticks in the right places. We're getting the puck in. We're doing really good on the forecheck. I think we're doing really well against their forecheck and their probably one of the best teams in the world on their forecheck. So details, there's I think minutes in a game where when they're not as sharp, they can make you bite. That's the NHL in general. If you take a minute off, you get scored on.
Like the Oilers did with Skinner in the last couple of minutes, we pulled our goalie and brought on Ryan Rishaug, who's just come up from the Oilers dressing room. I was going to say, what's the mood like down there? But that's the dumbest question ever because I know exactly what the mood's like down there.
Yeah, so I think they took some time to compose themselves, to be honest with you. We waited for quite a while outside the room before they even opened it up. And when they opened the doors, we all go piling in there, stampeding over one another, and the room was completely empty when we got in there. Then we formed up in these giant scrums and waited probably another 5 or 6 minutes. So
that's pretty unusual.
That's unusual. You would normally walk into the room and the players would be there. So the point I'm making here is I think they clearly took some time to compose themselves. This is crushing for this team. Like this loss to go down 3-0 in this game, they know what this means.
Yeah.
They know the history. So this was pretty crushing. And when they did come out, pretty well spoken. McDavid, did his best to kind of reason his way through it. He processed his way through the questions. He was a little bit in a daze. But the main theme in there, guys, was missed opportunities. McDavid saying, look, I can only speak for me, but I got to bury those, and mistakes. They made some bad mistakes that cost them in that second period.
Wow, those 3 goals were all essentially mistakes. The one thing I thought coming to this series, I thought Florida might win, but I didn't think it was possible to contain McDavid and Draisaitl for an entire final. And they're 3 games through, and for the most part, they have.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them contained for stretches.
Right.
We've seen teams come in and do a good job, but they always seem to find a way. Mm-hmm. Well, this was that night where you go, they're going to bring their best.
Yeah.
It's Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They're going to find a way. But guys, I'm starting to think Florida just might be that good.
Right.
Like they are just that good, Dregs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, we heard from Chris Knobloch a few minutes ago talking about the high level of belief. I mean, this team hasn't quit by a long shot in this series. They're going to give everything they have on Saturday night to extend the series. But when you look at the outcome of this hockey game and you see that you outshot the Florida Panthers, you see that Warren Foegele gets things going, Ryan McLeod gets a goal, you get a goal from your blue line, and Broberg, and you lose the hockey game, it's kind of demoralizing.
You know this team better than anybody. You watch them every single moment of every single game all season. You heard Chris Knobloch say, look, we've gone on these streaks this year. If any team can do this, we can do this.
Right.
But is it possible to do something that hasn't been done since 42?
I know. I mean, Stuart Skinner said the same thing. If anybody can do it, it's. I mean, what are they supposed to say at this point? Everybody knows the calculus here. It's terrible. They're in a terrible position, and so they're going to have to answer questions. And how realistic are they supposed to be in that moment? Now, can this team do it? Well, they've dragged themselves back from the dead once this season. They had a lot more runway to do it, James, than just one game. So, look, would anybody be shocked if in Game 4 McDavid and Draisaitl did what we thought they would do tonight? I don't think anyone would be shocked. That's a tall order to do 4 games in a row.
Well, the one thing they somehow have to do is rattle Bobrovsky, and they've not been able to do that. Let's hear from the Panthers goaltender.
Bob, you always say take it one game at a time, one win at a time. What does it now mean to be one win away from your ultimate goal?
Yeah, it's just we keep staying with the moment. It's obviously it's a great win for us tonight, and we enjoy tonight and get ready for the next moment.
What does Barkov continue to mean to this team?
Yeah, he's a leader, on the ice and off the ice. He's a smart player, and he's a big piece of our team, definitely.
At the end of the game, with 4 minutes approx, what do you remember of your save against McLeod with your leg?
Yeah, they are a very skillful offensive team. They're smart guys, and they're gonna make plays. It's you just focus on each and every moment, and it's a fun challenge. It's a fun challenge to play against them because they bring the best and they make smart plays. And I think opponent made a very smart play to pass to him. So it was a great challenge. I'm sorry.
Every game in this series has been so tight, and going back to last year's as well, what did it mean to kind of watch the team there in the second period really start to pile up those goals?
Yeah, it's the guys step up, but I think we defend well. We stay together, we protect the house, and just stay patient, and then we take our moments.
Sort of one win away to the Stanley Cup. How do you stay calm, composed, and stick to your game with these elimination ones coming up?
We don't think about too much ahead of ourselves. We're just staying with the moment and enjoy the moment.
Thanks, Sergei.
You made a double save on Hyman and McDavid with the score at 1-1. Hyman came in, and then you stopped McDavid. Did you talk about those two saves because you scored 3 goals right afterwards?
As I said, they are a very high skillful team, and they're gonna make plays. And it's it doesn't matter what's the score. They're gonna come at you, and you just stay focused and sharp. They bring the great challenge, and it's fun to play against those guys. Definitely.
Thank you. Thanks, Sergei.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
We put our goalie back in. I asked this question with the asterisk that, of course, we know it's not over and it's possible, but is it over?
Well, you're not beating that goaltender 4 games in a row. I think the Oilers can get 1 game, maybe 2 games. I don't think they're going to get 4 games in a row, especially with how structured the Florida Panthers are in front of that goaltender who's been amazing.
Yeah, I think Game 3 is crushing for the Edmonton Oilers. I don't believe that the series is over, but I think that Florida is too dialed in from the crease out. They're not going to lose this. They're going to win the Cup.
The history is 4 teams have come back from 0-3 deficits, only one in the Stanley Cup final, of course, the 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs. Against this Florida team, it is daunting. The Oilers need a miracle. They need Fernando Pisani times 4, starting with Saturday night.